Hi my friends, thank you for joining me again for another recipe for survival. Today I'm finally going to make my Majestic purple and gold coleslaw. And I'm going to talk really briefly about, or quickly about, the benefits of having some raw food in your diet. Of course there are complete raw foodists, they're called. And I, of course, don't think anybody should do anything to an extreme that all you do is eat raw foods. I think it's important to keep in mind having some raw food in your diet, and what will keep you balanced is eating balanced, is not doing anything in either extreme. So I'm going to get started because I really want this to be a very fast, quick recipe for survival. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start by making the dressing. I use about, you'll see, a swipe of, I take some mayo, enough that the whisk that I get on a whisk, one whisk. I would say maybe that's half a cup of mayo, because I don't really like it very, and I mean, it's not just about me, but I'm making a coleslaw that's very light. And everything I use is in the slaw is purple and gold. I use the red cabbage, which is very high in its vitamin K, which helps with brain power, and also to open blood vessels, to help with blood pressure. And that's in red cabbage. So I take about a half a cup of all organic mayonnaise, which it's a little hard to find, but you will find it. I do a splash of apple juice. I usually use the Red Jacket, it's called the summer one with a little lemon in it, but this is what I had around, so it will certainly work. Orange juice is really good. A splash of honey in the dressing. If you don't have all these different ingredients, but you like bread and butter pickles, the liquid from that is very nice dressing. Now this is mirin. I would not tell anybody to run out and get it. For me, it's a basic staple. I'm going to do, this is sweet, and it's got a very nice weight and body to it. I literally put maybe a tablespoon less on a splash of, I use rice vinegar. And of course, I use all organic ingredients. That's how I make the dressing. Now, I make it so often, I know it's going to be to my liking. Now, to me it's great. And then I'm going to do really beautiful fresh ground pepper. I use a mixture of black, pink, and green, and you can get that also, or just black pepper is great in this. Now that's that. Typically, when I make this for myself, I do everything in one bowl, but I really wanted you to see the dressing. Now, I'm going to move the camera so that you can see a little better. So I'll be right back with you. Thanks very much for joining us for Majestic Coleslaw on Recipes for Survival. So let me get started with how to prepare and cut the slaw. With the cabbage, the outer leaves are very tough. You're not going to want to use those. And they've been sitting on the ground at the farm. So you're going to take off the outer layers, like this. And in my sink, I always have, a bowl for scraps. First things first, you want to take the base, the bottom, right where the stem of the cabbage was. That comes off first. Then you have a very solid base to work with. You cut across as like so. I think that's called latitude or longitude. I'll always get it wrong. Then, again, you have the flat side. This could take 4 minutes if you're going to do a half of a cabbage. But I'll do the whole thing now because I'm going to visit some friends and I'll bring this with me. And then again, cut the half in half so that you have quarters to work with. Now, if you don't have a mandolin, which that's what I call this, but I don't even know what they call this. It's a $7, blade. I'm going to show you quickly how to do that. Otherwise, we're going to just go then I take one of the quarters and I slice like so. I start at the top of the cabbage of the quarter and slice across, coming down towards the stem end. Now, I love to cut it, so the rest I'll go through with my knife. And then what you do, after each quarter that you make into slaw, which it looks absolutely beautiful, I hope you can see, is you're going to add a pinch of salt. And this will helps to bring out the moisture and to soften the coleslaw. Adding salt helps to soften the cell walls of the cabbage and also bring out the moisture, and then what you're working with, the cabbage gets much softer and easier to work with. Raw foodists say is that cooking, the benefits of having raw food in your diet is that you don't use your digestive enzymes to digest the food. The food naturally, each food has their own natural enzymes, and that's what helps to digest food. So if you're eating a raw food and it hasn't been cooked, you're more efficiently digesting your food. You'll feel, you won't feel lethargic. You'll feel, and it's very good for weight loss also, raw foods and the vitamins. But I don't think anybody can go and just eat raw foods. And then again, I added a little slaw, I'll add a little salt. And you'll begin to see that the moisture starts coming out. And I'm going to go through and cut each of these quarters. Then I'm going to add red onion, which is also a very helpful ingredient to use. High in vitamins and helps with lowering blood pressure. And an apple. I use a John Gold apple. And then some golden raisins. Oh, I forgot to put out. So give me a minute. I'm going to finish getting the slaw together. I believe you should know how to do that by now. And I'll be right back with you. Thanks very much for joining me for Majestic Coleslaw on Recipes for Survival. I'm going to rehydrate the golden raisins. Now, I only use golden raisins. I don't love raisins in cooking typically, but I love golden raisins. And I was reading the brand that I get is grown in the Himalayas, over 6,000 to 9,000 feet above sea level, in mineral and vitamin-rich soil, all organic, of course. And I'll write more about that on the blog. But I'm going to rehydrate these golden raisins in some of the apple juice, and they will be incorporated into the slaw. This is how much coleslaw I got. Typically when I make it for myself, I only, will cut up just a half, the 2/4 of red cabbage. But so this is a full cabbage done. Now, and as I said, each time I put a quarter of the slaw in, I added the salt. You can already see the moisture coming out of here. So now let me show you how I'm going to rehydrate the raisins, which is not much more than warming some apple juice. Sometimes I've used pineapple juice, if I have pear juice, any kind of liquid orange juice and honey. For that I use for the dressing. I sometimes put honey in the dressing. That's it. Just a drop. to get these raisins rehydrated. Let's see. Let's do 4. We're doing 4 of everything. 4 quarters, 4 handfuls of the raisins. And this is over medium heat in about 1/4 cup of apple juice. I'm going to let this sit for about 4 minutes. How's that? Over medium heat. I'll be right back with you. Thanks. So cutting the red onion, you're going to cut the top off, then the bottom. No, and then cut through the root so that you have a half. And then you take the peel away. And we're going to do what's called a salad slice. Cut the root off. And then I'm going to, for a salad slice, you do so that it's all like a half moon. And then saute is across this way. So for the slaw, I'm going to do this again, very, very thin, very methodical, very focused slices. And then they'll break down, and fall apart perfectly in the coleslaw. I'll quickly show you how I'm going to cut the apple. Again, I love using John of Gold, all organic, especially if you're going to do any raw foods. Please have it all be organic. And then what I do with each quarter, I slice on an angle to get the core out, like so. Again, there's a bowl in my sink for refuse. Now, that didn't come out perfect, so I'm going to go through just to get that out, like that. And then, with a very sharp knife, and of course I washed the apple, you're going to put some nice slices in the top of it. And stay completely focused. And you definitely want to have a sharp knife. If anybody wants me to sharpen their knives for them, it's something I love to do. And then I'm going to cut across the top. So I'm going to get little dices. I'm going to get a medium dice. Okay, I'm ready to assemble the coleslaw. Majestic purple and gold coleslaw, which we've made with 1 head of red cabbage, a purple onion, John of Gold apple, and of course the beautiful golden raisins. I'm going to just start to get the dressing on here and show you how it incorporated beautifully the onion and the apple. And let's get the raisins in straight away. Here's our raisins that we rehydrated in some of the apple juice. Give that a quick mix. The dressing is just going to go over the top. Let me just show you quickly how this looks. Just like that. And now I'm going to incorporate the dressing that we made. It's very light. It smells beautiful. The longer you let this marry and marinate in the refrigerator, the better. Definitely put like a plate or aluminum foil over the top so it doesn't get any refrigerator flavors. And it's beautiful packaged in. I'm doing, of course, home delivery. Have a ball at lunch is back in full swing. So I'm going to pack this up into 16-ounce bottles and jars and get it off to some friends. And thank you for joining me again for Recipes for Survival.